Liverpool's bruising title defence may have left their dreams of Champions League football in tatters, but it has also exposed the necessity to rejuvenate a starting 11 that has almost picked itself in the Jurgen Klopp era. In particular in attack, where there is a growing feeling that their infamous forward line of Mohamed Salah, Sadio Mane and Roberto Firmino could finally be broken up. So what are the pros and cons for selling each player? Could it actually happen? And who should they sign in return? Let's have a look. Roberto Firmino. Of the three, Roberto Firmino seems the most likely to be sold. We recently suggested the Brazilian in a scout report as a player Liverpool should cash in on, and at the risk of repeating ourselves, our reasons were as follows. Years of consistency and relentless effort appear to be taking its toll on the 29-year-old, who has seen his famed defensive work rate start to decline. He is performing 9 less pressures per game than he was in 18-19, a decline of 36%, and his 1.4 tackles and interceptions per match are well down on his career average of 3.2. Mane is now generally outperforming him without the ball, stripping the former Hoffenheim star of one of his unique qualities within the side. Meanwhile, the goals have dried up too. He's only scored 34 times in the past 137 games, and last season failed to hit double figures despite appearing in every single league match. At present, he sits on 6 goals and 5 assists for the current campaign, but sadly for Firmino, his shots per 90 numbers have fallen to 2.6, the second worst rate in his career, while his key passes per 90 are at an all-time low of 1.2. In short, some believe it's time for Firmino to be phased out, and in many ways the €45 million signing of Diogo Jota was a measure towards doing just that. Injuries though have prevented that plan from taking full effect. But Firmino is still a player who deserves respect and could collect a decent fee between the €30 million and €50 million mark. A handsome sum which could be a vital contribution towards refreshing the squad. Sadio Mane. Next to Senegalese forward Sadio Mane, who has proved an incredible asset to Jurgen Klopp since signing from Southampton in 2016. In total, he scored 93 times in 207 appearances, having cost just €34 million. Today, that valuation has swollen to a massive €100 million on Transfermarkt. But should the Reds consider selling him while they can? After all, he has been attracting attention from French giants Paris Saint-Germain, and turning 29 in April should technically see his value start to decrease. And despite recently telling Senegalese press he is more proud than ever to be a Liverpool player, he's still yet to put pen to paper on a new deal that will double his wages at Anfield and put him level with Salah. Mane's goal involvements have also taken a hit. In the Premier League, the former Red Bull Salzburg star has scored just 7 times whilst posting 4 assists. Bar a spectacular run of form, he should end up nowhere near the 25 goal involvements he managed last season or the 23 the year before that. In fact, he's never failed to hit double figures for goals during all his time in England. Curiously, his shots per 90 numbers are actually at an all-time high of 3. However, a decline in accuracy means that for the first time in 3 years, only 1.12 of his efforts are hitting the target. Of these shots testing the keeper, only 1 in 10 currently result in a goal, a massive 58% decline on last term. This has left his actual goal return down 4.1 on where it's expected to be. However, one thing that hasn't faltered is his work rate. No forward, not even Roberto Firmino, completes more tackles and interceptions than the number 10, though the Brazilian beats him for blocks. Meanwhile, his pressing game has become more clinical than ever, successfully hounding down the opposition 35% of the time. Though his overall pressing numbers have fallen, pressing smart instead of hard has never been so important at Liverpool, considering the prolific nature of their injuries. Goal involvements aside, Mane is still hugely important in almost every Liverpool attack. No player in the entire Premier League has received more progressive passes than Mane, while his 93 shot-creating actions is the 7th most in the division. What's more, only Trent Alexander-Arnold betters his 1.8 key passes per 90 within the regular playing squad. This may have only translated into 4 league assists, but according to XG Chain, over 7 out of the 10 possessions Mane is involved in are expected to yield a goal. The bottom line is that Sadio Mane is about much more than just scoring. In conclusion, having performed so consistently since arriving on British shores, it was inevitable that Mane would eventually have an off-season in front of goal. But even then, the 2019 African Player of the Year has been incredibly useful in other ways that may escape the eye. At his age, if there was a time to sell Mane, it's now. But if he's as committed to Liverpool as he claims to be, then keeping him should be a no-brainer. After all, the same can't quite be said for Mohamed Salah. Mohamed Salah. You would think a player who's scored 90 times in 136 league appearances for Liverpool would be considered unsellable. Yet events on and off the pitch are fueling rumours that his position at Anfield may not be as secure as many fans would expect. First came Salah's comments to Spanish publication AS about how disappointed he was not to be made captain for a European clash with FC Midtjylland. In the same interview, he also refused to rule out suggestions he would one day be interested in joining Barcelona, and promptly found himself benched for the next game against Crystal Palace. Roll on to March, and another Klopp decision would enrage the 28-year-old. Trailing Chelsea with half an hour to play, the German substituted Salah, provoking a bitter reaction from both the player on the pitch and his agent on Twitter. In fairness to Salah, it's easy to understand his annoyance. After all, the Egyptian forward has at times almost single-handedly kept Liverpool afloat this season, currently joint top scorer in the league on 17 with Harry Kane. However, Salah has taken 16 shots fewer than the Englishman and boasts a superior conversion rate of 26% to 21%. It's also telling that while Sadio Mane has become less clinical in front of goal, Salah has gone the other way. His efforts per 90 have actually fallen by 1 from last season to 3.07, but his goals per shot have increased. Though it's worth noting that 6 of his goals have been penalties, the former Basel star has still scored 2.7 goals more than what's expected. Another aspect to Salah's game that often raises questions is his perceived selfishness. Former Liverpool forward Michael Owen recently added his voice to the argument that Salah's goal-hungry nature was hurting the Reds, highlighting how 3 assists all season isn't good enough. It's also true that Salah's key passes per 90 have fallen by 0.4 to 1.5 this season. But the reality couldn't be further from the truth. Since the start of 2017-18, when he arrived at the club from Roma, he has posted a combined total of 28.2 expected assists. This is the most in the division, with Mane trailing this number by 8.2. Even this term, the Senegalese star has only registered 8 more live passes that have led to a shot, with no one in the Liverpool squad bettering Salah's 0.38 goal creating actions per 90. So while it may seem like Salah is selfish, he's merely suffered from disappointing finishing from his teammates that has weakened his record. Salah is the complete footballer, and Transfermarkt value him at €110 million. However, the appetite to pay 9-figure sums is almost non-existent across Europe right now, especially for a player turning 29 in June. But as part of the elite, if he is open to leaving, then his availability will be hard to ignore. Bayern chairman Karl-Heinz Rummenigge even claimed it would be an honour to sign such a player back in February. So if Liverpool are looking to raise serious capital, then Salah might be the man to go. Only that way could they mount a credible bid for the target they're rumoured to want above all else, Kylian Mbappe. Only a player of the Frenchman's calibre would be capable of filling the hole the Egyptian king would leave behind. A new forward. Beyond Mbappe, who are the type of players Liverpool should be considering as part of their general rebuild? Already there is talk that Ibrahima Konate will be arriving from RB Leipzig this summer for a fee close to €40 million. Red Bull Salzburg forward Patson Daka is another potential new face at Anfield. But we've decided to profile a different rising star heavily linked to the Reds, PSV's Donyel Malen. This week, Gazzetta dello Sport claimed Liverpool are leading the chase for the young Dutch striker ahead of fellow European giants Juventus and Milan. They even suggested €30 million could be the starting price for the 22-year-old, which if true would almost certainly be a bargain. Marlon is running hot in Eindhoven after netting 51 times in 110 appearances, nearly one every other game. This season alone, he's scored 15 times in the Eredivisie with a further 6 assists. Klopp will be delighted to hear that the former Arsenal Academy star is similar to Firmino in that he prefers playing centre forward. No player in the Dutch top flight betters his 2.2 shots on targets per 90, the second season in a row he's held this accolade, while his 0.32 goals per shot on target is just shy of being identical with Salah. And despite being relatively small at 5'10", his natural strength makes him a useful asset with his back to the goal. But Klopp's front three tend to be fairly fluid, and Marlon would have no problem dropping onto the wings if needs be. Blessed with pace and power, he currently completes 1.7 dribbles per 90. Not only that, he ranks among the top 10% of forwards in Europe for progressive carries. The Dutch international is by no means the finished article, and his defensive work and aerial ability will have to improve in order to fully fit the current Liverpool system. But at such a young age, and with a promising price tag to match, in the current climate there are few better candidates who would give the forward line at Anfield the lift they desperately need. So that was our scout report on whether or not Liverpool should consider selling one of their main stars. Can you see any of these moves actually happening? Is the idea of Salah not at Liverpool just simply unthinkable? Let us know down in the comments below. If you aren't already, make sure you're liked and subscribed to the channel with the notification bell switched on, and we'll see you next time.